So far, we've covered the natural minor scale, but there are actually 3 minor scales in popular use. We have the natural minor, the harmonic minor, and the melodic minor scales. In this lesson, we'll take a look at the harmonic minor. The harmonic minor scale is the same as the natural minor, but with a raised 7th degree. So in the natural minor, we have a minor 7th, and in the harmonic minor, we have a major 7th. So let's take a look at a C harmonic minor scale. So let's start with the natural minor first of all. So if we start 3rd fret of the A string there, the natural minor would be C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, and C. Okay, so we already know that one. So to create the harmonic minor scale, all we have to do is work up through there: C, D, E flat, F, G, A flat, and then the B flat is turned into a B natural. So we've raised that to the major 7th. So now the intervallic construction is root, major 2nd, minor 3rd, perfect 4th, perfect 5th, minor 6th, major 7th, and then the octave. So just in terms of the frets, we've got 3rd fret, 5th fret, 6th fret, A string, 3rd fret, 5th fret, 6th fret on the D string, and then the 4th fret there, the B, leading into the C, the 5th fret on the G string. As always, you want to practice this scale up and down the fretboard and through the cycle of fifths. If you already feel comfortable with the natural minor, then this should seem pretty easy because it's exactly the same as the natural minor, but with that major 7th. So if I was to work through the cycle of fifths from, let's say, the F, I would have F harmonic minor, C harmonic minor, G harmonic minor, D harmonic minor, and so on. Now, you may be wondering what all of these different minor scales are all about, and this is where chords and the tonality that we looked at come into play. So let's have a look at a simple chord progression in C major. Okay, so we're going to look at chord 1 to 5 and back to 1. So that's going to be C major to G major and back to C major. Okay, so 1, 5, 1. Now, whenever we reach the end of a little section, a phrase, a section, the end of a piece, whatever it is, the end of something, we call that a cadence. And the most popular cadence in Western music is the perfect cadence. And this is a really strong cadence bringing us back to chord 1. So when I play that G, the chord 5, you can hear that resolution back to chord 1. Chord 5 to 1 is the perfect cadence. Now that movement of chord 5 back to 1 is one of the most important chord progressions you can learn. And as I say, it's the perfect cadence and it's got a lot of pull back to chord 1. And that's because in that chord 5, if we look at the notes in the G major chord there, G, B and D, the B there is actually the leading note. That's the 7th of the C major scale or key. So if I was to work up through that major scale, C major scale, you can hear all that tension leading back to 1. And that G major chord has got that B in there, that 7th degree, leading us back, okay? So it's the voice leading and the tensions in there leading us back from chord 5 to chord 1 that makes it such a strong cadence. So, okay, we know that chord 5 to 1 is a really important progression and it's that perfect cadence and there's a lot of pull from 5 to 1. But how does that play a part in these minor scales? Well, if we have a look at the natural minor scale, and if we're using that as the palette for our minor key, if we look at the chords in there, if you look at chord 1, just a simple triads, we've got a minor chord. But then if we look at chord 5, we've got another minor chord. So in the key of C minor, we would have C minor is chord 1, and then chord 5 is G minor. So let's have a look at what happens when we use that exact same chord progression, 1, 5, 1, and we use a minor chord for our G. So here we are again, we've got C minor to G minor and back to C minor, okay? So that minor chord doesn't have as much pull as the major chord does because that 7th that we had there in relation to the whole key, the B, is now a B flat. So instead of that pull, we've got this, you know, it's got a little bit of pull, but it just doesn't have that strong leading tone back into the tonic. And that's where the problem lies. The G minor, chord 5, doesn't lead back into chord 1 as well as the major chord. So this is where the harmonic minor scale comes into play. When we're writing a piece of music in a minor key, we can change that chord 5 from minor to major, and that gives a lot more pull. So if we're in C minor again, and I've got that C minor chord, chord 1, now instead of chord 5 being G minor, let's play G major. And you can hear there's more pull there back to our tonic because we have that leading tone in there. So, C minor. A lot more pull when we use G major instead of G minor. So if we look at the overall minor scale, and in this case C minor, we've got the natural minor, we've got that B flat there. What's actually happening with this chord 5 when we change it to major is that we're raising that to the B, okay, up to a major 7th. And that is a harmonic minor scale. So the harmonic minor scale is used to give us this major chord on chord 5, which is why we call it a harmonic minor scale, because it's to do with harmony. So, okay, that's the third of chord 5. So it's the B in the G major chord, okay? So when you're looking at a harmonic minor scale, instead of just seeing it as this kind of a melodic line working that just sounds like a classical scale, it's actually more to do with the chords in there and how we're creating that chord, a major chord on chord 5. As well as just using straight chords to outline that progression, we can hear it in a melody. So here's a melody using that harmonic minor scale, outlining chord 1 to 5 and back. So here's the chord 1. And then for the chord 5, I'm going to move to G major. Okay. So I'm outlining the chords in there. C minor to G major and then back to C minor. If I was to change that melody so that it was to use the natural minor scale and use the B flat instead of the B natural, we'd get the following. Okay, hear the difference? We're using the B flat there instead of the B. So once again, here's the natural minor. And now with the harmonic minor. Okay, so it's all about that chord 5. So in terms of using this scale, it's pretty much an artistic choice, and it was incredibly popular in music of the Baroque and classical periods. But even though it has a very, neoclassical sound, when played as a scale in isolation, it's still used in, countless tunes today. If you're in a minor key and you're making use of that major or dominant 7 chord on chord 5, then you're pretty much using the harmonic minor scale. Many tunes will actually switch between the different minor scales depending on the harmony in use. So have a listen to this line where, again, I'm moving between chord 1, 5 and 1. So here's the line. So on chord 1, I'm descending through C natural minor. And then I get to chord 5, the G, and I make it G major. So I'm using the B natural there. So in descent, I've got the B flat, then B natural, and that's making use of the harmonic minor. So remember that even though this appears to be purposeful, switching between, different scales, harmonic minor, natural minor, we're actually just outlining the chords. It's chordal consideration expressed through the melody.